Well, hello, everyone, and welcome here to FNL Gridiron. Nick and Astis Steve Beals with you here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We're presented by Beals Insurance. One of my favorite weekends of the year is here, the Division I semifinals. Over the next hour or so, we will talk to the four remaining head coaches in D1, beginning with Exeter head man Bill Ball in about 10 minutes from now. Bottom of the hour, Jimmy Lozan of Londonderry. Those two teams square off on Saturday. Second part of the show, we look ahead to tomorrow night. Bedford, they are back in the semifinals after a come-from-behind win over Alvern. Zach Matthews is on deck and slated to join us at 6:45 Eastern, and we close out the show with longtime Pinkerton head coach Brian O'Reilly. Steve Beals, how are you, my friend? I know this is also one of your favorite weekends of the season, correct?
You know, it is, Nick, and I share that with you. And we've had some great semifinal weekends together that we've been able to call. And the last few years, we've been able to do both games because structurally, the way that the ADs have got together and set up the things, and it's just wonderful. We were waiting for that call, and Corey Parker from Bedford and Brian O'Reilly obviously must have worked out Friday night. We were thrilled. Remember, I felt like throwing confetti in the air when I heard that, because to miss one of these two games would be an awful thing. So I am jacked up. I'm ready to go. This comes so fast and goes so fast. Weather aside, I want to enjoy this, enjoy the moment, as they say, these next 2 days.
Yeah, and we are going to really pick the brains of some of the best minds in the game over the next 60 or so minutes. Looking forward to those interviews. Let's recap what we saw last week. Obviously, there were some competitive games in Division I in the quarterfinals. As I mentioned, the Bulldogs had to come from behind to top Alvern. They fell behind 14-0 in the first half, but scored 24 unanswered points to win their 26th game in a row overall, and again play host tomorrow night to Pinkerton. Speaking of the Astros, they had their hands full with Wyndham. That game is up on our YouTube channel. The Astros ultimately prevailed over a stubborn Jaguars team 14-6. Exeter, no problem in the rematch against Memorial. 33-6 the final there. Exeter improves to 10-0 and play host to Londonderry after the Lancers advanced by a final score of 28-13 over Nashua South. In the lower divisions, we also have some championship matchups to look forward to, as Souhegan handed Plymouth their first and final loss of the season in the semifinals. They will take on defending champion Pelham in the D2 championship on Saturday. And in D3, it'll be Campbell and Interlakes squaring off for the title match there. We already have a champion in Division 4. That was Mascoma. Congratulations to them. So, Steve, where do we start in terms of looking ahead? Again, we're going to welcome in Bill Ball in about 7 or 8 minutes, but a lot of action that we saw firsthand over the weekend, and some games certainly jumped out. What was on the top of your mind?
I would say the Alvern Bedford game, Nick. Obviously going up 14-0. Two things are shown there. The incredible job that Coach Lee did with his with the Alvern program. Clearly, I'm going to just talk about both programs real briefly here. Coach Lee, what a job they did. Get up 14-0. But it also really shows how powerful Bedford is. Every team, it's very difficult, to go undefeated in a season with two of our teams that have done that. And to come from behind like that, I really do think that it's the best thing that could have happened to Zach Matthews and his Bedford Bulldogs, Nick, because they played a very good team. They did not take them lightly. That 14-0 wasn't because Bedford was just sitting around. They're just that good. The Alvern is that good. But Bedford is that incredible this year. They're a phenomenal team, and to come from behind like that is going to position them in a semifinals game to be used to that kind of pressure to come from behind. So if they're ahead or behind, the Bulldogs are going to be ready for that action. But Coach Lee deserves tremendous credit. Coach Rob Sturgis from Memorial, congratulations as well on a tremendous season. Memorial football is more than back right now. And they obviously went down to the undefeated as well. Tremendously powerful Exeter Blue Hawk team, Nick. But Rob Sturgis and Coach Lee have got to be in the final running for Coach of the Year, in my view. These guys have done an incredible job. Congratulations also, Nick, to Nashua Coach Knight and Nashua South. What a great season they had. They gave it their best. You could see how good they were against Londonderry. Didn't happen. I think the grass field may have affected that speed factor just a little bit late in the season, but Londonderry at the end was just too strong. But take nothing away from Cody Jackson and all of those players in that team. What a joy they gave us, Nick, this year to watch an incredible season. Congratulations to Coach Knight and all them. And they will be back as well with some of the personnel they've got coming back. But I specifically want to talk this week, kind of a shocker. Jack Byrne steps down as Wyndham head coach. I want to just speak on behalf of FNL. I know, Nick, you feel the same. What a great guy Jack was to us throughout the years, always willing to come on, just such a friendly, decent man. If you look at that man's resume, I had no idea of how long that resume was with the Wyndham Jaguars. Served as a defensive coordinator for years for Coach Bill Raycraft. Congratulations, Jack. He's choosing to go and make sure he's there for his kids. So, Jack, job well done. This Wyndham Jaguar team, whoever takes it over, has got a great future. Congratulations to all the players in that team. And we certainly at FNL wish Jack well. Don't be a stranger, Jack. We'd love to see you. If you see us at a game at Wyndham, please come up and not introduce, but come back and say hi to us. So I just wanted to mention that. What a gentleman he's been and how much of a joy it was having him come on FNL and talking to him before the game and after the game.
Yeah. One other piece of news before we welcome in Coach Ball. One of his players is amongst the 3 finalists for the Ukeka National Player of the Year Award under the New Hampshire state chapter. The Ukeka Player of the Year recognizes the best player regardless of division. Daniel Batstone of Exeter, one of their running backs, one of their linebackers, is amongst the 3 finalists. Kevin Tedisco of Salem, who scored 20 touchdowns this year.
Well deserved.
Certainly deserving of a finalist spot there. And Scott Hirschberger down at Campbell, the only D3 player still remaining, nearly 2,000 yards this season as a senior and over 6,000 yards in his career. So whoever wins the award, those 3 guys certainly deserving. And we look forward to the announcement of the winner this weekend.
I agree, Nick.
Yeah. Okay, Steve. So let's touch on D2 real quick.
Yeah.
Very quickly before we get to Coach Ball, because that was a semifinal where it could have gone any which way, really, as we had undefeated Plymouth play host to Souhegan in a rematch. That was a regular season game that went into overtime, that was won by the Bobcats. Souhegan got their revenge in a big way and are back in the championship round after coming up a bit short in the semis last year. They will face Pelham, who is right on schedule. They did lose one regular season game that ended their 40-plus game win streak, but they've started a new win streak. They took care of Trinity in the semis, 47-21. So it'll be Souhegan and Pelham in the final, in Division 2. And then, as we mentioned, Campbell and Interlakes will battle in Division 3. What do you expect there, Steve, between the Sabres and the Pythons?
Again, Nick, this is a congratulations. I'll be really quick. Trinity and Plymouth, what incredible seasons that they had. But when you look at this matchup, Nick, I don't know. There must have been an incredible film session done by Coach Boquette and all of his staff, which is a terrific staff, by the way, to go up. It'd be one thing if they won at home. They went up in Plymouth and did that with that margin. So there was obviously a lot of gas in the tank there. I haven't got a chance to see the game. I look forward to doing that when the snow starts flying up here. And I'm amongst palm trees, and I like to review a lot of those games. Congratulations to them. Nick, I never thought that either of those teams could defeat one another by that margin. I just never thought it was possible. So I'm looking forward to that. Pelham, on the other hand, how about Coach Huff? Comes in kind of last minute, takes over that team. I've had some experience being around Coach Huff on the sidelines, not as a coach, but as doing broadcasts with him, going way back to the championship 2015 team, Nick, I'm just amazed at this guy. Saw him on the Trinity sidelines as well on some scrimmages. Have stood next to him on a couple other games, and just have heard him speak. And this guy is just an artist at knowing how to win football games. No surprising with a great Pelham program as it is, and a coach of his stature to be able to come up and go into the finals. I'm not surprised. I don't know who to pick in this game, Nick. These teams are both so hot, so strong. They're so physical, both of these teams. I'd say there's a little size advantage to Pelham, but boy, when you hear the numbers they put up against Plymouth, something's got to be going really right and peaking at just the right time. So this is going
Yeah.
to be one of the, to me, Nick, this is one of the best D2 semifinals and ultimately going into final games. Most exciting, a lot of attention. It feels just like Division One with these powerhouse teams going at it. It's going to be a great weekend to watch football between the semifinals we're doing and those games.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that game,
All
that
right.
championship game.
Let's bring in our first guest, Exeter's Bill Ball, longtime head coach and former athletic director. He's got the Blue Hawks back in the semifinals. They play host to Londonderry on Saturday. Coach Ball, good evening. How are you, sir? Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys. Great to be with you tonight.
We will get to the Londonderry matchup in just a moment, but I want to revisit the quarterfinal win against Memorial first. That was obviously a second go-round against the Crusaders. It was a one-score game the first time around. Back on Saturday, not so much. 33-6. Your team seemed to be in control from start to finish. Your thoughts on the way your team came out, played 4 quarters of football, and beat a very good opponent soundly by a multi-score margin. What was the difference in your mind?
Well, Memorial took the opening drive and drove right down the field on us. We had a pretty good goal line stand. Then we created turnovers. And, 17 after the half, and we pretty much controlled the second half. I think they only had snaps the whole game. So, it was a good effort against a good team. A bunch of guys up there in Manchester that worked hard with that program, done a good job to be reckoned with in the future.
Yeah. How much did that bye week help your team, Coach? Was that a factor in this one, or is that something that sometimes is overrated?
I think it's a little bit overrated. I mean, if you're playing well, if people say if you're banged up, I'll say this about our guys are pretty locked in. They have been since August 16th. They practice hard. When they step over the line, it's business, and we really had 9-10 days of really good prep to get ready, and anxious to play on Saturday, obviously.
Yeah. One of your players, Coach, is the finalist for the Ukeka Player of the Year award, Daniel Batstone. You've spoken with us about him on this program before, but just tell us in your own words again how much he's meant to your team, not just this year, but throughout the last few years on the varsity level. He's certainly starting to get some recognition, and rightfully so, correct?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy for Danny. Well-deserved. Incredibly hard worker in the weight room, and is certainly increasing his speed and his strength and all those areas. Works out constantly. He's really got a good nose to the ball defensively. Tackles well in space. Is able to take on people. And offensively, he's been a stalwart for us. At the halfback, and he blocks well. And in our offense, you have to do both. It's not an eye tailback. You earn your keep by blocking, and he's really done a good job. Really happy for Dan.
Yeah. Coach, we may be in for some weather on Saturday. Rain in the forecast, certainly tomorrow night, but again, it may linger on the seacoast on Saturday. Does that throw a monkey wrench into the preparation plans or the game plan at all? Or again, is that an overrated factor?
Yeah, it's New England and Northeast. It's you're going to get wind, you're going to get rain, you're going to get it. We've been through it all over the years. So
I love it.
it's
I love it.
it's football. Actually, I was saying to Coach O'Reilly today. I talked to Coach O'Reilly this morning, and we were talking, and I said, what is this with canceling football games? Back in the day, we never canceled. You're on grass field or whatever. So we'll be kicking off at 1:00 on.
We'll be there. Steve?
Coach, I just love it. I love that attitude. I know Coach O'Reilly and you run an offense that's based on a New England weather. because as the weather gets colder and stronger, you guys usually get better. And I wasn't laughing at you. I hope you don't think that. I was proud and laughing with you because I believe in that same style of football, as you well know. Hey, let's talk about Michael Karen for a moment. Obviously,
Yeah.
congratulations to Danny Batstone. He is absolutely deserving of if he gets it. It's interesting that he and Tedesco, I don't know Hochberger, but boy, his numbers speak for themselves. So congratulations to him as well. But there's some commonalities between I'm going to run back to that really quick. That's actually my second question. I see Tedesco, they're individuals, but I see Tedesco and Batstone as similar in their off-season workout because both of these guys are not huge players, but their strength and conditioning is I've just marveled in it all year. The power that these men generate from their upper body and most importantly their hip swing and their legs and their calf strength. Do you see the similarities there? Because I do. And what can you say about Tedesco as well as being a doctor of the game, coach, for so many decades?
Yeah, I've only seen Tedesco on film. He's very, very impressive. Great balance, great breakaway speed. He's a guy that I've certainly followed him because he's been such a
Yeah,
stalwart over Steve Abram in Salem. But he's obviously well deserved to be in that top three, as all of them are. And
yeah.
he's a football player. Salem kids are always tough, hard-nosed kids, and he's at the top of that list.
Let's talk about Michael Karen. I agree, Coach. Michael Karen, I've watched this guy, as you know, and we've seen multiple games, and then I watch all the other games that we're not at, and I really marveled as well at this. I'm not going to call him a little guy, but he's not a big guy by any stretch. But boy, when he comes off that field, he just seems so dialed into your direction and the mission that you're trying to create and build on the football field. While we're on talking about like Batstone, to me, Karen is just kind of like a secret weapon. What can you say about this guy, and how does he rate, obviously, amongst other quarterbacks as the size of his stature versus what he gets accomplished on the field?
Yeah, well, he's a multi-sport athlete. He's a second baseman on a very, very good baseball team at the high school. He's got great hand-eye. He knows sports because he's been involved with multiple sports for multiple years. Um, little story on him that I know this because his dad told me this, but during COVID, he just started switch hitting in baseball. When we were out those days and to him, and all of a sudden now he's a switch hitter in baseball. So
Right.
he's an athlete. He's an athlete. He's a competitor. He understands sports, and he's done a terrific job for us.
Yeah, he has. Let's talk about that offensive line as well. I think that your offensive line right now, Coach, is better every single game. I've seen them improve. I don't know where the end of this team is. If you had 20 games, who knows where they'd be? Maybe the Patriots could use these guys. Talk about this offensive line this year because there just seems to be a little bit extra with these guys, the way that they work together with each other.
I'd say, obviously well coached, Skip and Straczynski and his
He is.
staff of three others do a great job up front. Really good job. But I think what might set these guys a little bit apart is they spend a lot of time together and they talk. And you have to communicate up front. And people start to stem, they move the front. All of a sudden you get tackles are moving, those guys are shading. You got a 5-man front, you got a 6-man front, you got 2 linebackers, you got 3 linebackers. You have to talk. And what we do and they do a terrific job. I know they Zoom a lot at night. They go over stuff together, and they really 7 guys working as one, I think.
I agree, Coach. I saw in the Londonderry game when you played them, there was some tough stunts and some tough moves that they had made on you from the defensive line, which is a really good one and extremely well coached as well. And I saw some college-level pickups from your offensive linemen that were just amazing. So congratulations to those guys as well. I'm sure you saw that as well. It's almost like you don't even have to tell them adjustments. They just seem to pick it up because their breadth of knowledge is so deep.
Yeah, and Londonderry is going to give you a lot of multiple looks, and they're obviously incredibly talented across the board, but particularly up front, their front five. I think they get at least two that I know of Division I guys up front there. So we have to certainly bring a game on Saturday.
Yeah, Coach O'Reilly and you are very, very. I have tremendous respect for both of you guys, as the rest of the state does. I know you're not a guy who likes to hear about accolades about yourself, but boy, it just seems like you're so dialed in yourself this year and enjoying what you're doing down there, watching the sidelines with the guys. How are you feeling this year? Obviously, proud of your players, but and I don't mean from a self-interested standpoint, but how are you feeling this year about coaching football as opposed to some of the prior years where you probably had multiple duties? We talked to you about this before, but it just you seem to be on top of the world, unless I'm missing something. So I take great joy in watching you and Coach.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's I've always loved it. It's been in my blood. It's from early age. But the truth, aside from not having of being the athletic director and a lot of those things, this senior class has been very, very easy to coach. These
Yeah.
guys are dialed, and they've been terrific in every way, and that includes today. And then when that happens, and you're not dealing with the extracurriculars and and stuff, but it's all football, and step over football, and these guys have made it an absolute pleasure for all of us.
Well, Coach, I'm going to predict the same thing I saw last time. They better shut down Graney, because this pass attack that you guys showed, when you want it and when you choose to do it, it's been lethal this year. And it's not just him, but he's got and Karen's really been able to throw some really good passes to these guys and throw some bullets. Really impressive. So I'm going to say this guy is going to be a big factor in the game. I predict. And I love watching him. I didn't talk about him earlier, but boy, what a benefit he is to have on a football team. What a consummate tight end.
Yeah, we get two really good tight ends. Tyler's
Yep.
really good tight end. So they both play on both sides of the ball. They're multi-year starters. They've done a great job.
Well, Coach, wish you the best of luck this weekend. I'll hand it back to Nick. What a season. It isn't over yet, obviously, but thank you for the hospitality that you guys have show us. We are excited to be there. We'll have our tent up in the top. Cannot wait for the broadcast. So we look forward to seeing you two great teams go at it.
Thanks, and thanks for all you guys.
Nick?
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. That's Coach Bill Ball, longtime head coach of Exeter. We'll be there Saturday. We'll be broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS for both Division I semifinal games this weekend. Tomorrow we're in Bedford for Pinkerton at Bedford, 7 o'clock. And then Saturday, 1 o'clock is the kick between Exeter and Londonderry. We get the other half of the story on the other side of the break. Jimmy Lozan, he's got the Lancers back, and they're looking to make a championship run yet again. Can they do it? We find out. You are watching FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today. Colonial Printing is family owned and celebrating 50 years of quality print services for New Hampshire businesses and can help yours as well. Whether it's creative design, digital or offset printing, or banners and signs. With state-of-the-art technology, unlimited industry sources, and the ability to think outside the box, Colonial Printing will help you get your job done. To see their full list of services, promo products, and portfolio, or to request an estimate, visit colonialprintingnh.com. That's colonialprintingnh.com.
Back here on FNL Gridiron, it's presented by Beals Insurance here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. Nick and Astis, Steve Beals with you. We got one more show next week, or no, because Thanksgiving is going to throw a monkey wrench into our plans, but we'll be on the air twice this weekend with each semifinal in Division One beginning tomorrow night with Pinkerton at Bedford at 7 o'clock. We'll be broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS network. And then on Saturday, rain, hail, wind, or snow, we'll be live in Exeter for Londonderry at Exeter. We thank Bill Ball for coming on. We got the Exeter perspective, and now we get Londonderry's side of the story with their head coach / athletic director, Jimmy Lozan. Let's bring him in. Coach, glad you could come back on the show.
Yes.
We appreciate it. How are you tonight, sir?
Good. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll have to go back and see what Coach Ball had to say.
He didn't give away too many secrets, but
No.
I'm sure you can pull something from that interview. Before we get into the matchup here with Exeter, I want to take kind of the bird's eye view of what has been going on with Londonderry the last few years. If you guys win on the road on Saturday, that's going to be, I believe, your 5th state championship appearance in the last 6 years, win or lose. Is that a big deal in your mind, Coach, or is that something more that the media likes to focus on?
I mean, I think it's an incredible accomplishment, and even getting to this point, just the amount, just 5 semifinals in 6 years is quite an accomplishment for the program and all the coaches. The support of the community, the administration, like everybody has a hand in it. It really does kind of take a village in order to run a good program, and so many people have helped us get to that point and helped us, just accomplish this. So it's not something I'll overlook. It's you don't know when that's going to happen, if it's ever going to happen again. I remember preparing for the 2019 championship against Exeter, and the stat was, or somebody had said it. You might have said it, Nick. It was like the first championship for Londonderry in 21 years, and the 5th in 9 years for Billy Ball. And I was like, geez, like that's unbelievable. And now we fast forward to 2024, and now we're on the verge of potentially making it 5. So it's it's pretty awesome. Definitely proud of everyone that's helped us get to those championships.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm glad to hear that it's not lost on you guys for sure. Sometimes that stat can get lost in the shuffle. One of the things I want to focus on is the offense, particularly with what we saw in the quarterfinal win over Nashua South. I think Steve said it best. Nobody uses more formations than Coach Lozan. Now, my question is, do you guys, I guess, practice all those formations all season? Or do you focus more on the game plan for the specific week and kind of implement different formations throughout the practice sessions? How do you go about mastering all those different types of looks on the offensive side of the ball?
Did we
Coach,
lose
you
him?
there? I
Looks
think
like
we
he
may have
froze
lost
up.
Coach.
Could be the weather.
Okay, we'll try to reconnect with Coach in just a moment. But Steve, that question was
Yeah,
based on your observation during the broadcast about the different formations we
yeah,
saw. The eye, we've seen the pistol, we've
yep,
seen the spread, etc. We've seen the wing tee at times. Um,
yeah,
your thoughts on
yeah.
how successfully they're able to implement all those different looks week in and week out.
I think it's the difference in how you look at it. It's already pre-designed. I was amazed when when Coach Bellevue was coaching for Sauhegan that they would utilize the tee when the spread wasn't working, and then they would go to the spread. The spread was their base. If it wasn't working, they would ground and pound, and they were ready for it. And one of the things I admired about Coach Bellevue was it wasn't like half baked. It was both of those offenses were fully baked in. Obviously, they spent a lot of time practicing it, and their execution was fabulous. The thing about Coach Lozan, oh, here he is. All right, I'm going to brag about you. Just pretend you're not hearing. The thing about what Coach
Sorry
Lozan
about
does,
that. I don't know what happened. The phone is fully charged. That
you know what?
wasn't that wasn't
I
me.
think you have. I think you have so much kinetic energy around you. You blew the internet out or something. Probably. He plays it cool, but boy, he feels it deep. I know this guy. So anyway, I think what Coach Lozan does, and let him speak for himself really quick. I'll go really fast here. Is it's the integration. He doesn't just say, "Oh, this one isn't working, so I'm going to go to this set." He integrates that. Could be a down and distance factor that he makes that choice. It could be the quarterback that he's got in the game. It could be if he has a dynamic receiver, if he has an offensive line that has a tremendous amount of power that's just destroying, and he morphs. Everything is ready to go. It's the same as calling a power versus a post pattern. It's just all integrated, and he doesn't have to stay with it. So I'm going to go to the T and stays with the T. As good as that was, like I was talking about, what he does is it's integrated depending on a whole bunch of variables that he implements in place, and it's executed so well by his players that it looks like it's all part of the plan. Other people or other teams have tried to do that, and it looks like, oh, this isn't working, so I'll try this. Oh, this isn't working, so I'll try this. They've got these. He's got these plays in his mind, and from coming down from upstairs. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy, but to me, it's part of the DNA of that offense. That depending on personnel related. Coach Lozan also goes through and uses personnel. He's personnel driven. His offense and defenses run based on the quality of the personnel he has in specific areas and the depth there. I'll shut up. I get so excited I can't stop. So. But that's what I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong. Make me look bad, Jim. Go ahead.
No, yeah. I mean, I think we year to year we're going to adjust the personnel, and I think it's nowhere near where I want it to be, and I can be so much better at play calling and designing and things like that. But we've tried to build a system, and it's like not necessarily new plays, but new ways to do it, and we just try to mix and match the personnel to match the right way to do it. And there's a bunch of different ways to run counter. There's a bunch of different ways to run power. There's a bunch of different ways to kind of dress things up to seem different, but at the end of the day, it's built around some core principles and that we believe in, and then it just kind of expands, and based on the quarterbacks we have, we can expand it a little further. I put the most on the QB. The QB is kind of the position that drives it, even if it's just lining guys up and just facilitating the ball. It all kind of goes to the QB and what they can handle. So, if we're limited in that spot, then we're usually limited from an offensive standpoint. That's why we spend so much time training those guys. And but one of the funnest, one of my favorite things to do is work on the offense. It's like my little off season, like tinkering. I always use the analogy. My grandfather used to do really nice old school cars and bring them to a car show, and then he'd sell it, and then he'd get a new one, and he'd build it, and that's kind of my off season. With the offense, I go back to it, work on it more and more. And when you got the pieces, everything looks good. Good players make good coaches, and but I like to help them get in position to execute.
Yeah. Coach, you mentioned your quarterback, Sam Ogden. He was one of the top 10 finalists for the Ukeka Player of the Year award. And similar to his counterpart on Saturday, not quote unquote the biggest guy out there on the field. What are the strengths and weaknesses he brings, and how do you tinker the offense around the senior?
Yeah, I mean, we noticed as when he was a sophomore that he just really, when Drew Heenan was a senior, we gave Sam limited reps, but he just kind of picked things up really fast. And it was like he didn't need a lot of reps. He could watch Drew do it and then go in and kind of emulate it and just make it look exactly the same. And credit to Drew, he had to work his butt off to make a lot of that look the way it did, and that's what I loved about Drew. For someone like Sam, he's always played quarterback. It's comes natural to him. And it almost makes it look like it's effortless, So I get on him about that, but he just, it's just a very smooth process. His ability to run, his vision, throwing the ball, his reads. If you teach it to him once, it's usually, pretty, pretty certain he's going to get it right. So it's been a joy. He's so even keel, which is perfect for me because I'm up and down throughout the week. So it's nice to have a guy that's not as emotional as I am, and you just can't really rattle him. I mean, I envy and how easy some things come to him because I had to work at it as well. So it's just it's great to see, and I hope he can kind of leave a legacy here as a quarterback, as some of the great ones that played before him.
Steve?
Coach, Adrian Cruz, a runner that I guess I would compare him to, but both of them is Bahoma from Concord a couple years ago with the ability to slide almost like he's on skates, and then and just nail a plant foot and then vertically just get so accelerated so quickly. What I watched him in the game. Obviously, we did the game on Saturday, and he just tore up that very good defense. What is it about this guy that you see him every day in practice? You've groomed him all along, all the way up through in the Londonderry program. What is it about this guy? I got to tell you, he just looked like he was on fire on Saturday against a very good defense.
Yeah, when he gets off to a good start, man, he's just kind of that momentum just keeps building, and all it takes is one or two good runs, and then we know we can kind of ride him from there. And he's been really solid for us. I'm sure he expected to play more last year as a sophomore. He never openly said that to me, but he's a good back. He was a really good back growing up, really good back as a freshman. So he came in last year, and I mean, I think he'd be the first to admit, he made some mistakes a little bit, like in practice, just little things along the way, and it was like, well, those things are glaring issues when you do it on a Friday night in varsity game. So we just kind of had to wait and get through some of that, and the only way you get through it is to actually make the mistake and understand how the plays develop, and the path you got to take, and sometimes what you're keying and this and that. So he's he now this year he could teach it. He's made such a big jump. I haven't had to coach him up much on any of that stuff, and so I think now it's being comfortable, and can't wait to see him run next year and be even more comfortable. It's not just natural talent. He has that, but he's also put in the work, and he's taken the coaching. And we're very fortunate to have the backs that we have. And Carson Palma, Jordan
Yes.
Ball. So it's great compliments to Adrian right now, and it's just a really strong backfield. And so I mean, he was very impressive, especially that first game against Salem. I was like, oh boy, maybe I should have played him more last year, but he's just. I think he's realizing the varsity level on a week-to-week basis is a grind. It's tough. You got to reset each week, and this is the time to really show it off in November.
Let's talk about Kuchar and Binder for a second. I've been watching them all season long on both sides of the ball, and I've noticed in the games that I've probably seen 5 games that I've watched pretty thoroughly. And the previous games, one of them would kind of dominate in that game, and the other would dominate the next game because they were doubling their opponent, kind of responding from film from the previous week. I don't know. That's what it seemed like. This week, it just seemed like both of them dominated together. And I watched those guys together, and they were communicating with each other a lot. And they were kind of working in tandem with each other. And it seemed to be a breakthrough for these guys. And I could see a lot of joy when they were coming off the sidelines of what they were able to accomplish against a very good defensive line of Nashua South. First of all, did you see that, or because to me it looked like that they were playing as a team tandem like I've never seen them all year.
Yeah, they played great both sides of the ball. And credit to the
Yeah.
offensive line, the whole offensive line.
The whole
It's
offensive
kind
line.
of led by Cody Gray at center has been awesome, and then our guards have been as solid as possible, and Tufts and Walden and mixing in some other guys. Cooper Freitas has been awesome, and
Yep.
Joe Strong. So between those 7 guys, and then those 2 big guys, I jokingly said to him last week going into the South game, I'm like, hey, what's the deal? If we can't run the ball, we're really only going to go as far as you 2 take us. And if we can't stop the run and Paul said, just run the ball to the left side, you'll be fine. And then Colin was standing right next to me. He's like, I think you should probably run to the right a little bit more.
Okay, so something was. I saw something there.
Yeah, they're going back and forth. So it's good. They take that personally, and then defensively, can't say enough. Although Paul did probably make his first mistake on the D line in the last 3 years. One of the greatest things about Paul is he's so smart, and it's almost like I tell him stuff, and he's like, "Yes, I know, coach." And it's like I know he knows. But he did make a mistake in that South game. He let up a big run, and I've been letting him have it all week. So better not see any of those this week. But he's been so rock solid since he was a sophomore. He recovered a fumble against Bedford in the state championship 2 years ago, and there was no looking back from that moment on. He's just been rock solid for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is also a great week to look back on players that have helped get you here. I can't leave out number 58, Colby Walden. I've watched this guy on both sides of the ball. He's everywhere. He doesn't, for some reason, because of some of his teammates, he doesn't get the notoriety he probably deserved, doesn't seem to really care. He just goes out there and performs. What can you say about this guy? I tell you, I see him everywhere all the time, and he doesn't, it's full effort, full tilt, full time. What can you say about that young man?
Colby, like a lot of our kids, unfortunately, have to wait their turn. He was probably ready to go last year as a junior, and we have seniors in front of him, and it's tough. I'm going to be loyal to the seniors who have put in the work, and they're going to get their opportunity. And I'm sure Colby never complained. I'm sure it frustrated him. I'm sure he felt like he could contribute, and we just had a bunch of seniors up front on the offensive line and then at linebacker. So he patiently waited his turn, and now this year I really challenged him when Devin went out to be the leader and line us up and kind of take that role on, and he's done a good job. He's been really good. I mean, the last Exeter game he was unreal, and he played maybe the best game of his career, and we hope he can try to do that again. And no, he's been really solid both sides of the ball. And you just mentioned all the guys that have helped get us here. Like, we got 32 seniors. All of them have played a role, on the field, off the field, in practice. And we got, I don't know how many programs have seniors that are jumping out on scout for them, doing anything they can to help the team get better. And I can't speak enough about that. And, all the guys that it goes years and years, the tradition that we're trying to create and the culture. And, so credit to all those guys, because not all of them get on the field a significant amount. And so, they help us prepare, and I hope they realize that.
Yeah. Devin Bowles, obviously unfortunate season-ending injury there. And we watched him on the sideline. What a class act going out there. Obviously, he must be really upset. Please send FNL's regards to him. He's such a joy of a player to watch. Really, really, really exciting. I hope
And I wouldn't
he's.
say season ended. Not quite yet.
Oh.
So we'll see. Let's hope.
Ooh. That's what we were told by. I was told that by 3 people on Saturday walking out of the press box. So that is good news for Devin. So if that's the case, wow. So let me hold back on the season-ending injury. Obviously, missing that game was really, really difficult last week. If you have Devin Bowles next week, boy, what a lift that would be emotionally, as well as for what he does for his team. I do have one quick question. Boy, I'm really excited about that. Look, Nick, we got to go, don't we? So Unfortunately, we're probably a little behind. So I'll leave it there. I was just going to mention quickly, Alex Villa. Are you bringing him in to give Ogden a rest, or just to give a different look and let him get some frustration out?
Doesn't look like that. He runs like he's trying to get some frustration out. I love that about him. It's just a great mix up. It's a great mix up. Sam starting both ways. So, it's and Alex is capable of running the whole offense. I know we put that package in, but that's more just to dominate the line of scrimmage when we need to and reset. But he could run the whole thing, and I think you guys got a glimpse of that against Exeter the last time he got in. We feel very comfortable with him, and he'll play whatever role we ask him on both sides of the ball. He's been exceptional and has just continued to get better. I can't say enough about him.
Oh, two tremendous programs. Talks in the league, been the eye in the league all season long. Culture for these teams goes back a long way, Coach. So how could you not be excited about seeing this game on Saturday? I can't wait. So best of luck to you and Coach Ball as you go in. How could it not be a physical battle? Watch Graney. I'll tell you, the guy. Yeah. He's
Thank
something.
you, Coach.
Awesome.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it as usual. And good
We'll
luck
see you
on
there.
You got it.
Jimmy Lozan, head coach / athletic director of Londonderry. The Lancers travel to Exeter in the D1 semifinals on Saturday. We will have the call right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We're broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS network. Kickoff is slated for 1 o'clock. Our coverage begins at 12:45. Our first broadcast of the weekend comes your way tomorrow night in Bedford. Pinkerton at Bedford. That's a rematch of a regular season game that was played back in week number 6. A tight game in that one. We expect a tight one tomorrow night in the rain as well. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff. The two-time defending Division I champion Bulldogs are led by head coach Zach Matthews, and he joins us right now on FNL Gridiron. Coach, how are you? Sorry to keep you waiting there a few minutes, but we appreciate you coming
sorry
on.
about
How
that.
are you?
I'm doing well. I was starting to wonder if I had the wrong number. I don't know.
Well, Steve gets excited sometimes. We
I
get
am.
the lead here and there, but thank you for coming on. Your team, as Steve said earlier, perhaps this was the best thing to happen to them, a close quarterfinal game against Alvern, a game in which your team fell behind by 2 touchdowns early, but had the last laugh, scoring the last 24 points in a 24-14 win. Is that an accurate diagnosis? Does a little adversity help your team in the postseason going into this semifinal against Pinkerton?
I mean, I don't think we really know. I mean, this has been kind of a work in progress for us all year. And so I think what's interesting is this is the first time in my career that we've gone into the playoffs as a 1 seed. And this is probably the group that we have with the least amount of playoff experience, if that makes sense. And so, when you look at that and I wasn't sure what to expect. Last year, we handled the bye week really well and we came out of it firing on all cylinders. We've been a really good second half football team all year long. We're trying to figure out ways to kind of come out of the gates a little bit stronger. And that's, to be honest, been an issue. So it wasn't necessarily a shock that we started a little slow. I just need to get these guys, ready to go in the first quarter so we don't have to wait till the third quarter to play our best football. We've been a really good second half football team this year, and I'm really proud of that. I think we make good adjustments as a staff. I think the kids are coachable. We just need to make that transition from practice to the game a little bit sooner, and get our seat a little bit faster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'd imagine, Coach, as a coach, there's only so much you can do to get them ready to go, right? At some point, the onus has to shift to the players themselves. You mentioned you were trying to find ways to get them to come out swinging, so to speak. How do you do that as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just trying to figure out what your team leaders believe in, what your kids respond to. For years, we've been deferring and trying to put our defense out there on the field first. This year, it seemed like sometimes we were a little more nervous on defense and the offense was more confident. So, we've tried taking the ball a couple times. We've deferred other times. It's really more, I think, a mindset thing and just has to do with experience. Like I said, I think it's when the kids get comfortable. But we've changed the way we practice. We start with some bigger periods and Seneca building up to it. So we've tried a bunch of different things. And in the end, I mean, you're correct. As a coaching staff, we work really hard. We put together, I think, pretty good game plans and practices. But in the end, your senior leaders need to take control of the team, and really the players are going to go out there and execute. And this is their time to shine. So it's really a decision they're going to have to make. And hopefully tomorrow night we should first snap and we're ready to go.
Yeah. It's a rematch, as we mentioned. You two faced off in week number 6. That ended up being a 3-point difference, with your club winning 28-25, I believe was the final score there. Any lessons learned from that game, Coach, or is that ancient history at this point?
I mean, I think there's always lessons. I think lessons to be learned. Primarily what we're taking away from that film is just some of the physical matchups. I think that's one of the tougher things about coaching is you can watch a team on film, but if you haven't gone against them, you're really unsure. Specifically at the line of scrimmage, you're unsure how your guys are going to match up with their guys up front. And so I think that's the nice piece going into this thing is both teams know kind of how our guys match up front. I think it was a very, very back and forth affair. And so I think our kids kind of know what to expect. We're a very different team than we were at that point in the season, and they are as well. They were battling a lot of injuries, and so I think you're going to see some different things from both programs. But then again, I mean, we have foundations that we believe in, and I think that there's a reason why both football programs are here in this game. And in the end, I think it's going to come down to better execution, and obviously, if we get some bad weather, I mean, I think that's going to be a factor. Obviously, who's going to protect the football?
That was my next question, and I asked this to Coach Ball as well. Does the weather make a difference in terms of game plan?
I mean, we'll see how things go. It really depends. I mean, at this point in the year, it doesn't matter how many footballs I have to use, and the officials are usually great. They'll let us throw in as many too. So I don't anticipate like the ball specifically being drenched or soaked or really difficult as far as that's concerned. But both teams are going to be dealing with the same issues. And so I said to the kids, it's an even playing field. I'm sure a lot of people would probably say that they would think that Pinkerton has the advantage because they're a wing T-based team, which is more of a ground approach, whereas I think we're a little bit more multiple and we typically throw the ball a little bit more. But I think we're excited about the matchup. I mean, we had a full practice in the conditions today. We're a team that's always outside when it's raining for this exact reason. And I always say to the kids, you never know when we're going to be out here playing a game in those conditions. And so for us to get to this point in the year, I mean, we practice in it every single point in the year where, we're saying, oh, we're going to go practice inside. And so our kids are used to it. They understand kind of what to expect. And I think we've worked on it throughout the year as far as things like ball handling, passing and catching in these conditions. Will it be a factor? Yes, I'm sure, but it's going to be a factor for both teams. And so it certainly won't be an excuse on either.
Steve?
Coach, congratulations on an undefeated season and going. I lost count of how many. Coach, help me out here. Is that in a row at this point? It's a lot.
I don't know. I don't keep track of those things either. Those are the type of things we try to keep out of our heads, Steve, and out of the kids' head.
All right. Hopefully, they're all doing homework and they're not listening tonight. Right. But I do want to respect and give credit where credit is due. That's an incredible feat. One thing specifically this year, I agree with you. Other teams, you had had players that were just very dominating in the positions, and you had multiple players like the Sheridans and such that were able to. This really seems to be a very good coaching and player job together, where you guys are able to find the right things to get done, be able to kind of locate matchups individually during games. I was watching you guys do that with a lot of your adjustments in the second half. I just think have maximized the team's opportunity to win and have certainly panned out that way. So congratulations for that great coaching job with you and your whole staff. So having said that, looking forward here to Pinkerton. Pinkerton obviously was without Isaac, and they were without Morrison 3.5 quarters of that game. They will be in. But, boy, when I looked at some of the film, it looks to me like you guys are getting better. And it looks like you guys have a pretty good run, a darn good running attack as well. I know you can do all different things like Pinkerton does, kind of different looks and such. You have your own brand at doing that. But, I mean, it seems to me you've got other guys that may even be receivers right now that would be able to get involved in the running attack as well. So, I mean, I would think you must be going in with some sense of confidence about your running game with one of the best, if not the best, running back in the league. Going if weather is bad,
Yeah, I mean, we feel really good about a balance, I guess I would say. And that's always something that we've tried to pride ourselves on, is I believe in balance. I believe you have to be able to throw the football to win football games when it matters at the end of the year. Typically, all the teams that are in the playoffs right now, and especially right now, have a pretty good running attack. And you have to. But when you get to this point in time, my opinion is the passing game is what separates, because in the end, there's only so many times you can send a great running back into, an 8-man, 9-man box, and eventually you got to loosen things up. And so, I mean, I think you saw that even with, talking about the other semifinal game, but you saw that with Exeter against Londonderry in the first matchup this year, and you saw what an excellent job Exeter did with their passing game, and it just made the game so much better. So although, a lot of us coaches, we go about it a different way, I think a lot of the philosophies are probably somewhat similar in how you approach a game like this, right? If you're going to allow us to run the football and we're going to rip off, 5-7 yards a clip, we're going to keep doing that. And so, tomorrow night's going to be no different. And so I think when it comes down to it, you mentioned the adjustments earlier, and I think we do a pretty good job as a staff and with our kids of figuring out, all right, what's the other team trying to do here? What's giving us trouble? And then let's find the correct button to push. And I think that's a collaborative process. It's not just coaches telling kids. It's also, we're lucky to have kids that get feedback. And so when kids come off and give us really good feedback about what the other team's doing, it allows us to, do the best of our ability. So it really is a collaborative process. And a lot of it has to do with our kids who have a lot of experience on the field.
This offensive line does not tire. The condition that they're in has impressed me all year long. I watch the other games that we don't do on BCTV, and I just try to keep abreast of what's going on. And that offensive line just seems to me, like Exeter, is gotten better throughout the year, and specifically, they seem to get better throughout the game. What do you attribute that to?
I think I just format with what we do in the offensive line. I'm blessed to have an offensive line coach in Ben Gambino, and Ben played for me back when I coached at Kearsarge. And then, so we've known each other a really long time now. And I was always the offensive line coach for a long time, because I believe that football games are won and lost in the trenches. And so that's where I can know I was a quarterback as a player. And so I think what it comes down to is we have a really clear set of expectations for kids. We have a really clear set of rules, and we kind of stick to those rules. And although it looks like we do a lot of things on the field, we try to keep the game as simple as we can for the guys up front. And so for the guys up front, we don't have a ton of different blocking schemes that we use, and we have a similar set of rules that we apply to things. And so, sure, are there tweaks every week for a front? Yes, but our kids get used to getting a lot of fundamental skill work, and that's important to us throughout the season. Is let's not just stand there and block bags of where the other guys are going to be standing, but let's get better at reach blocking. Let's get better at our zone combinations. Let's get better at our down blocks. And so I think that's why you see our kids get better as the year goes on, I think, is because we really take a fundamental skill approach, and that's all the way, that's all the way into the postseason. That doesn't really ever stop.
Yeah, well, one of the things I saw in the Pinkerton game, which I think was critical, is during the first quarter, you guys were kind of coming out high and kind of standing up. And then all of a sudden, the second set, you could see it. By the third set, they were just firing and winning the low position, by the third time that you got. And then it kept on getting better as time goes on. They just seem to adjust themselves. I assume, obviously, they got some coaching from your sideline coach, from your offensive coordinator as well, but seem to learn as they go. And to me, that seems to be why you guys just seem to have better second halves, because I don't want to say they come out slow. It's just they just seem to get really just get better as each game goes on. When you look at this Pinkerton team, Coach, and you will be facing Isaac and Morrison in this game, and you look at these guys. Besides the two obvious things, what is something you think that your game, other than ball, you talked about ball security, what is something else in this game that your guys have got to do exceedingly well against this tough Pinkerton team?
I mean, I just think when you're playing a wing T scheme, everybody has to be able to play responsibility football, and everybody has I think even in the first matchup, some of our inexperience showed, because people think that they're going to make a special play or they want to do something great, and now all of a sudden, when you try to do too much, you're in a bad position to play a play that you're supposed to be in position for. So it's really about everybody understanding their role in the defense. And I think when it comes to that, you have to just understand critical situations, and what to expect in critical situations. So a little bit more football IQ, a little bit more awareness. And I think that's where we were at earlier this year. I think we had, to be honest, I think we had poor awareness of situations and poor awareness of where we were supposed to be in those situations. situations, and so that we've worked really hard on prepping for them. Certainly, they have a great group of skill players. I've been really impressed with the development of their offensive line throughout the course of the year, and so we know what's at stake. And at this point, in time, I believe that the correct 4 football programs are left playing football in Division I right now, and kids also know it's going to be a battle. I said to the kids earlier this week, I mean, I don't care if we won the first matchup or not. This is a 50-50 matchup. It could go either way.
Right.
It really depends on who comes out and plays the better game tomorrow night. I think some of our supporting cast players are going to have to step up. They know who Brody Helton is. We know who Matt Morrison is. And so it's going to be time for some of those other kids that maybe don't always have their name in the newspaper. Some of those kids are going to make the big plays in this game. They're going to separate.
Guys like Jake Sheff, I'll just throw that out there. Boy, was he been fun to watch this year. What a terrific young man. Thank you very much, Coach, for coming on. I'll hand it back to Nick. Best of luck tomorrow. Congratulations on what you've accomplished so far. Look forward to a great Friday night between 2 outstanding football teams.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
That's Coach Zach Matthews of Bedford. The Bulldogs play host to Pinkerton tomorrow night. You can watch that game right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We'll be broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS Network. Kickoff is at 7. Our pregame coverage begins at 6:45. Standing on the other sideline tomorrow night will be Brian O'Reilly. He joins us next. You are watching FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today. Colonial Printing is family owned and celebrating 50 years of quality print services for New Hampshire businesses and can help yours as well. Whether it's creative design, digital or offset printing, or banners and signs, with state-of-the-art technology, unlimited industry sources, and the ability to think outside the box, Colonial Printing will help you get your job done. To see their full list of services, promo products, and portfolio, or to request an estimate, visit colonialprintingnh.com. That's colonialprintingnh.com. Our broadcast today, as it always is
goes right up the middle for a first down and then some, and there's that speed. He responds by throwing to Matthews, who throws down the field, and it is caught. Karen going to throw, and wide open is Graney.
press.
Wow.
This one good! And intercepted by Anthony Caruso. Looks in the end zone, going to escape the pocket, throws, he's got him in! Land breaks the tackle at the 25, and look out, inside the 10, the 5, touchdown Exeter. Lances Ogden to the air, jump ball, pulled in! Get in motion, this time it's held left side, he finds the end zone, handoff for Backstone, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. Handoff Isaac trying to get to the edge, and he's got a first down and then some. On off, left tackle, plenty of room. Untouched to the 15, got his eye on the end zone, and he gets there for the touchdown. Right side, help, gets around Caruso, hit at the goal line and in. Aaron rolls right, throws, and he's caught by Grady for the touchdown. Eyes downfield, gonna plant, gonna fire. Looking into the end zone, Dylan!
Well, there it is. A great montage put together by our director, Ben Beals, doing a great job behind the scenes and really raising the energy level for this weekend's Final Four, the semifinals in Division One. You can watch it right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, beginning tomorrow night with Pinkerton at Bedford. Londonderry visits Exeter on Saturday. Our final guest tonight joins us right now. He's been doing it for 48 years. He's the head coach of Pinkerton Academy, Brian O'Reilly. Coach, good evening. We apologize for making you wait. We got off to a little bit of a late start tonight, but we appreciate your patience. Thanks for coming on.
We hope you enjoyed that.
Hey, I enjoyed the montage. Watched some Dream On with Aerosmith. That was awesome. I liked it. Thank you.
Local New Hampshire boys.
That's
Thank
it.
you,
That's
Coach.
it. Everybody claims them, right? Boston
Yeah, they
says
do.
they belong to them, but we know they're from Sunapee. They're all ours.
Absolutely. Bought a big mansion up there, and I heard smoke still coming out of the windows of that place. So we'll see.
I bet it is.
Coach, again, thanks for coming on. Your team gutted out a hard-fought battle last week in Derry, a 14-6 final score over Wyndham. Your defense really rose to the forefront, and you did it without throwing one pass, which was impressive as well. Your overall thoughts on what that win meant to the program, having to grind it out for 4 quarters against a stubborn Wyndham team?
I think it was playoff football. It showed we did what we had to do. You are right. We didn't throw a pass. But honestly, that was because Wyndham did such a good job delaying the game, using up 35, 38 seconds of every 40-second down, and kept us on the field defensively that I finally got to the point, it was frustrating. I didn't dare want to give them the ball back with any time left.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to, there was no way I was throwing a pass. We were just going to run the ball, use up the time ourselves, and get out of there with a playoff win. But hats off to Wyndham. Not unexpected. They did it
Nope.
to Londonderry during the end of the year. They did it to Salem. There was no shock from me at all as to what their scheme was. I thought when we were up 14-0 that we could take advantage of that. But again, hats off to them. They did their job. Now we move on.
Yep. Coach, at this point in the season, is this the healthiest your club has been since week 1?
Shockingly, it is. We were looking around today, and knock on wood, we've got them all back. Never mind the 2 that everybody knows are missing. I got my starting fullback back. I haven't had him for the last 2 weeks. I've got my center is back. Yeah, we are completely healthy. We have no excuses at all. We picked up 2 more linemen. We picked up our starting fullback and linebacker. We picked up our 2 running backs, and who knows? On the first play of the game, we could lose them all. But right now, we're good.
Yeah. That includes, Coach, on that list, Osanya, who's been, I think, one of the more underrated players statewide all season long. He's kind of the anchor of that linebacking core, at least in my opinion. And as only a junior, the sky seems to be the limit. What has he meant to your team on both sides of the football?
Joseph is a hard-hitting linebacker, fullback. I've had Joseph now on a team for 3 years, and I'm not sure I know what he sounds like. He is as respectful and quiet a kid as you'd ever want to come across, but he loves football. Today we decided, with common sense, that we weren't going to go outside in the rain, that we were going to go in the gym so that we could get everybody listening to the final pieces to what we had to do. And he looked at me and he was like, "We can't go outside in the rain." It's like, "No, Joseph, we're going in the gym." So
Pig
it's the
pen.
type of player he is. We love having him on the team.
Yeah. And speaking of the rain, your team is no stranger to playing in the rain. I believe it was a downpour when we saw you guys play Wyndham in the regular season in week number
It
3.
was.
I'd imagine that's not going to throw a monkey wrench into your plans tomorrow, right?
We're good enough as far as diversity that if we had to throw the ball on every single down, we would. If we have to run the ball on every single down, we will. I'd like to do a little bit of both. We'll see how the weather acts tomorrow, but I'm just as comfortable never throwing a pass as I am with throwing the ball. Well, our so far this year, I think our number one game is the Salem game. We threw the ball 33 times. So we can do one or the other. Aiden's excellent job throwing the ball. We threw the ball okay against Bedford last time for a touchdown, but we'll let the weather play out. We'll let the wind play out. We'll see what we have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach, if you win tomorrow, you would take your team back to the championship round for the first time since 2017. What would that mean to you personally?
It's frustrating that it's been a long time. That happened one other time in our program, but I reflect back on it. I know why it has happened is because there have been quality teams along the way. There
Mm.
really hasn't been a case in those years that we did not have a good team. We've always had a good team all those years. There have just been better teams, and that's the beauty to Division I football in New Hampshire. There is, there was that one time as an athletic director, we were talking about the system we have in football, and is it the best system to get? And one of the ads mentioned at the time it was something on the idea of like, realize in the last 12 years, and I'm not talking about from today. In the last 12 years, 10 different teams have won the Division I championship. If you can go back and look that was probably 3 years ago that was said by someone, and they're right. It's our quality has been there, but it has been extremely frustrating for those of us who always set a goal to win a state championship, whether it was football, whether it was lacrosse, to not be there. So I'm happy to have a chance to get back again, but we were in the same situation last year and the same situation the year before. And right now we just deal with the semifinal. But I can tell you that the 4 teams that are left, they are all outstanding football teams. And if any of them were the state championship, you would not sit back and say, "Whoa, how did that happen?" They're just, New Hampshire football is in really good shape right now.
Yep, absolutely. Steve?
Uh, Agree with everything you said, Coach. New Hampshire is in very good situation as far as football right now, and I think Division One, the way that they went from the 4 to the 3 conferences is really worked out tremendously because you've just got. I mean, there's teams on the rise too out there. You got Wyndham starting to play real Division I football for sure, and I just think it's incredible with only 1,000 kids and you've got Memorial coming up. You've got Coach Lee, what he's doing over there in Alvern's just been incredible. But in this particular year, I agree. You've got the two legends in the making, and you got two legends that are already here with you and Coach Ball, and it's really fun for Ben, Nick, Matt, and I when we get ready for the week to see the joy that you and Coach Ball have, and to be able to have that longevity and be able to enjoy the kids this long is just tremendous. So don't think it goes unnoticed that the passion that you guys have in the game, and it runs deep, and it just makes it getting guys like Jimmy and Zach and so many other coaches. We're very, very blessed in this state to have, I think, some of the better coaching. And we're going down to Massachusetts and beating the Andovers and the Chelmsfords and, hanging around there with St. John's and stuff. So it's and beating Brockton. That was a big one. I mean, this is really good stuff, and I don't think anybody looks at the Division I in New Hampshire as slouches by any stretch. So I agree with you. Congratulations on where you've got where you are now. But going into this game, I do want to. Obviously, we talked about Osanya, but Brady Spellman and James Caruso. Talk about what those two men. I watch a lot of Pinkerton film, as you know, and I watched a lot this week, and those two guys just really stood out to me as along with Osanya and others. What can you say about those two guys? One's a sophomore, Spellman.
Yeah, well, so let me deal with Brady first, the sophomore. Um, we didn't have Jamie last time going into the game, which we knew about, and then we unexpectedly lost Matt. You talk about getting hurt in a football game. You wind up trying to catch a punt and it hits the tip of your finger and breaks your finger. And somebody turned to me on the sideline and said, "Yeah, well, Matt's gone for the game." And I went, "What?" So I turned to the two sophomore running backs, Brady Spellman, Rice,
Yeah.
and me showed. And without missing a beat, it's like both of you get in there and just get it done. And I got to be honest with you, um, boy, they did a great job last time. They
They
did.
did.
Rice looked like his brother Caden, from who was our captain last year. He's only a sophomore. And Brady Spellman, I had his brother years ago as a freshman on my varsity lacrosse team, and he was a heck of an athlete. And Brady's even better. They're just tough, hard-nosed football players, but they're only 15, 16 years of age. And
Oh,
as is always the case with us, we've got depth. We've got good people. James Caruso, he's a junior. Um, he is one of the toughest football players I have ever coached.
mm.
And I've been coaching for a couple, 3 years now. He doesn't say much of anything. He just loves, thrives on contact. I
Angry
mean, he is
football.
such a joy to deal with, whether, on offense, on defense. We've got him playing inside on the defensive line. Once we can put him outside, we can turn him loose on people. He's one of my favorite players, truly, and I'm glad to have him back for another year. So,
Well, one of the things that Brady did in that game is he did as good a job as anybody could do to try to step up and help the loss of Aiden and Matt on offense. But the area where I saw the game, especially specifically in Bedford, where it really hurts you, was Matt Morrison playing linebacker and Aiden as a defensive back that just can be Aiden. Jamie Isaac, excuse me. I'm not Aiden. I'm going to talk about Aiden in a minute. Jamie Isaac. Losing Jamie in defensively really is a big loss too, because he is a shutdown defensive back. Do you agree with that first of all? And what do
oh,
yeah, yeah,
everybody, absolutely, I agree with it. Everybody talks
yeah,
about Matt and Jamie with their speed and the offense because offense is what people notice. But
yeah,
they are number one and number two defensive backs, and to
right.
say that we weren't missing them in the last game would be
Yeah, yeah,
that'd be a
yeah.
lie,
Oh
And we
yeah,
weren't
absolutely.
missing. We were missing them for quite a few games, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah,
Jack May, exceptional.
outstanding.
Helton, Matthews, they get all the ink and they deserve all the ink. But Jack
Yeah,
May is really, really something, and
terrific
he's the
kid.
reason we went down in the end. We had no answer for him, and I
Yeah,
don't know that we're going to have an answer tomorrow night. But I do
right.
know it certainly helps having back my top two guys there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you could see that that game in Wyndham was key to have Matt to be able to drive the clock down the field and run the clock out before Wyndham could get back the ball. I thought that was huge. Before the game, I had walked out just to talk to John, our camera guy on the far end, the far right end, for as you look out from the home stands. And on my way back, Aid McDonald was throwing the football. Well, I always saw Aid McDonald from a distance and saw the way through the football and thought he was terrific then. but he almost overthrew. He threw a ball at Isaac that I thought someone was shooting a cannon out of a. People don't realize this young man's arm, of how powerful and how quick he releases it and it gets there. Talk about what he's meant to your team this year, because to me he's an added dimension to you. That he's a weapon, and he opens up that offensive playbook with throwing the ball to these receivers. That's just a terrific job. I just couldn't believe how fast he can throw the ball. The velocity is unreal.
He competed for the job last year as a sophomore and was beat out by the senior returning, but he has come with a vengeance this year. He's essentially 1,000-yard thrower for us, multiple touchdowns, doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. I give a lot of credit to Trevor Knight. Trevor Knight has personally tutored him for a couple of years
Yeah.
now, and my hat goes off to Trevor and the job he's doing with our quarterbacks, also at Drake at high school. And I remember having my defense chase him all over the field when he was at Nashua South, and a great career at UNH. But Aiden is only a junior, and as I said before, if I had to throw the ball, and I mean this, on every single down, we could do that. We're fine.
Yep.
I'd rather
Yep.
not. I'm a running coach. I'm a wing T coach, but Aiden is that kind of quarterback. He can throw the ball very well.
Last question, Coach. Going in tomorrow night, probably going to be some inclement weather. Looks like it'll certainly be there in the first half. Looks like it's going to be clearing mid part of the game. Let's hope that that happens. But I asked Zach Matthews what he thought about what his team. I'm going to ask you the same question. What is it tomorrow night that absolutely has got to be flawless, no matter what segment or piece of the game that you guys have? What thing has to be flawless for the Pinkerton Astros tomorrow night on the field?
Ball control. I mean, we have to not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
We fumbled only once last week, and it almost killed us.
Yeah.
And in a rainy day, that's going to be the problem. The problem is going to be ball security. Rain's okay, to be honest with you. I've never thought rain's a problem. It's the wind, and I don't think we're getting a lot of wind tomorrow night.
No.
To be honest with you, from what I saw from the weather report, I think the people on Saturday are going to be suffering with the wind. There are big wind gusts coming on Saturday, but we'll play it as it is. We'll see how it goes. As I said before, if it's the kind of thing where we have to run all the time, well, it's a wing T offense. That's what we do. Well,
Yeah.
we'll mix it up and move it. What you probably won't see is what I did with Windham, which was just got so frustrating. It's like, let's get in an I offense and just give the ball to Matt over and over and over again. If I had to do that, I'll do it, but that's not what we do in the wing T. What we do in the wing T is, did you not know the fullback had the ball in that play? You thought
Yeah.
the halfback had the ball? Did you
Yeah.
not know the quarterback was running out on the waggle? I mean, that's the only way the wing T works. And I do have 4 complete backs in that backfield, to be honest with you. I got both halfbacks, I got my fullback back, and I got a quarterback who can roll out and throw. So shame on me if we don't take advantage of that.
Can't help before I go to say I saw you and Jack Byrne having a really nice conversation out there. Jack stepped down, obviously, for family reasons, wants to be with his family more. Can't blame a man for that, with young kids and all. But your thoughts on Jack? And obviously, I could see you guys having an enjoyable conversation out there.
Yeah, he had told me at the end of the game, I congratulate him. A great job, as he always does. His defense is
Mhm.
tremendous.
He is.
He had told me that the announcement was coming the next day, and told me the reason why. And we talked about kids growing up and such. And we're gonna miss him. Jack's a good guy. Everybody loves
Great
Jack.
guy.
He's so
Awesome
positive.
guy.
He's so upbeat. Really,
Yeah.
he's like you. He's just like you. He's like, he never says a bad thing about anybody. And
Well, they're football players. I'm afraid of them all, so I won't let that happen. Yeah. But
yeah,
yeah.
well, he'll be back at it. He once he starts coaching his kids again and they get to high school, who knows? Maybe he'll be down in the Campbell area or something like that. He's from
Yeah.
Litchfield, but
Yeah.
Jack's done a really listen. Nobody nobody takes Wyndham lightly when they have to play them. I talked to a couple of other coaches last couple of weeks ago, and they were like, the one team you don't want to play in the playoffs, you don't want to play the 12 seed Wyndham. That's the team you don't want to play.
Right.
Because they bring it. They he did a
I'm going to
great
miss him.
job there.
I'm going to miss him. But absolutely. Coach, best of luck tomorrow night. This has been quite a journey. It's very difficult in this league to get to a semifinal, but when from multiple weeks and you're dealing with an aggravated injury with one of your best players and out for just speaks volumes for the rest of these kids stepping up and getting you to this point, and now you're healthy again. Really looking forward to it tomorrow night. I don't care how cold it is tomorrow. I don't care how rainy it is tomorrow. We'll be there, and we'll be ready to go. This is what we bought the cameras for, this stuff tomorrow night. So congratulations on so far a terrific year, and best of luck to you tomorrow night. I'll hand it back to Nick.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
likewise,
guys.
Coach. Thank you, Coach, and best of luck for sure.
Get a good
That's
night's sleep.
Brian O'Reilly. Brian O'Reilly, longtime head coach at Pinkerton, 48 years on the job, trying to guide the Astros back to the Division I championship for the first time since 2017. Steve, your final thoughts on what was a very informative edition of FNL Gridiron?
Football's in great hands in New Hampshire. You got Jimmy Lozan, Zach Matthews, Rob Sturgis, Steve Abraham. I just go on down the list. Everybody, if I missed you, I still mean you. It's just a terrific list of coaches. See the upsurgence this year of West football, regardless of whether they lost to very good teams. That team is by Coach LaVenture is absolutely is LaVenture or Proventure. I'm sorry, did I get it wrong?
Prevention. You got it.
Prevention. Coach Prevention, what a terrific job that he did to get this program. First, you got to get it off the ground, build excitement. You drive around West, I have insurance buildings that I do over there, buildings I insure over there. I'm over there all the time, and everywhere you look, you see West High School football over there. Great things going on. We can go on down the list, but this has been a great year. These four teams, these two games that we're going to do the week are the best four football teams in the state of New Hampshire, bar none. They've been there all year. They held it, and they went through adversity, injuries, Londonderry, injuries, Pinkerton. Bedford's battled through adversity from games where they got caught behind, and Zach and Coach Donahue were able to bring that team over the edge with their coaching. And then, of course, you got Bill Ball, who's just that thing's just been firing 8 cylinders on a V6 all year long. These are going to be barn burner games. I can't see these games running away with either of these games. I just don't see a runaway, Nick. What I see is the power to come back. If a team gets up 2 or 3 touchdowns, there's just the power to come back out there because of the resolute way that which these guys coach and the way the kids play the game. So, but the big storyline to me, Nick, is 2 guys that I hope stay coach until they're 85, Coach Ball and Coach O'Reilly. This is a big deal. That's a big deal for these guys, and there's a big storyline behind these are true legends, and the impact. Can you imagine the impact that these guys of the amount of players, football players, that they've changed their lives for these guys? I'm sure my dad as a teacher used to get calls from kids. You changed my life. I went into engineering for this. I went into environmental science for this. These guys are changing young men right at the core and have developed them and have had nothing but pure class all the way through. And the other 2 younger coaches coming up clearly are in that same mold. So best of luck to all 4 of them. Somebody's going to win, and 3 teams are going to be disappointed. That's just the way it is. If it wasn't, the championship wouldn't be so great.
Final reminder, we're on the air tomorrow night, 6:45. Pinkerton at Bedford kicks off at 7. We'll be broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS network. Saturday, same deal. We're in Exeter for a 1 o'clock kick between the Blue Hawks and the Londonderry Lancers. 12:45 is our pregame. Want to thank our guests tonight for coming on. Coach Ball, Coach Lozan, Coach Matthews, and Coach O'Reilly. We appreciate them taking the time tonight to speak with us. And of course, we thank the sponsors as well: Beals Insurance, MG Sports Fundraising, the New Hampshire Tomahawks, and Colonial Printing. For our director, the great man behind the curtain, great job with the mashup tonight.
Oh, that was awesome.
That's Ben Beals. Hopefully we'll get that on the broadcast tomorrow as well. Great job as usual. And of course, my partner, executive producer, Steve Beals. My name is Nick Askus, saying so long. This has been FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.